Hello, and welcome to episode 104 of Design Curious Podcast. Today on the podcast, I have a special guest, Danielle Hayden, who is the co-founder and CEO of Kickstart Accounting, Inc. We have a great conversation about mindset, around money, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So let me tell you a little bit more about Danielle. Her bookkeeping and accounting firm is on a mission to coach six-figure and beyond female entrepreneurs so they can better understand their numbers through bookkeeping, financial analysis, and support so they can grow profitable, sustainable, and enjoyable businesses. With over 15 years experience in the world of finance, Danielle has worked her way from accounting firm intern to the co-founder of Kickstart Accounting. She understands how complex business finances can be, and she knows that entrepreneurs need more than just a bookkeeper. They need real financial analysis and support in order to get the confidence required to create sustainable wealth they deserve. Danielle brings a unique perspective when it comes to providing business owners with a total package as it relates to their finances. She has been a guest on multiple shows. And when Danielle isn't in her money mindset work, you can find her hiking or spending time with her family. So let's get into our conversation with Danielle. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Hi, Danielle. Welcome to Design Curious Podcast. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So I love talking with anybody about mindset, but yours in particular is money mindset, which is such an important topic, I think, for our audience who are most of the time thinking about starting their own business. And there are so many challenges that come into, especially around money. So let's start there and kind of talk about what are your best suggestions for people who are really approaching starting a business?
Well, first of all, is know your money personality type, first and foremost. We all have a money personality type. All of us have our childhood experiences, middle school, adulthood, the economy, all of these things have shaped our money mindset and the way that we view money in the world. We can't just say, oh, we're going to start this business, so let's leave our money mindset over here in our personal lives. And here in business, we're in la la land. We don't have money mindset issues. We will always have money mindset issues. And so it's knowing what's my personality type so that I know what my spending looks like so that I can grow my business to be the business owner that I want to be. Do you want to go through the money personality type? Okay.
Yeah. So you have a quiz, right? That people can find this out. Correct?
Yeah. I do just suggest everyone go take the quiz. It's kickstartaccountinginc.com/quiz. The reason I say go take it is that people are always surprised. Like they think they lean in one direction, but when you actually go through it, you land in a different category. So there's 4 personality types. First one is our free spender. Our free spenders, they do not look at the numbers before they make business decisions. They do not look at the numbers before they make any spending decision. Like, I want it now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Money will come back. I got to spend it. YOLO. Then there's our keepers. And the keepers, no amount of money ever feels like enough. So I am saving. And when you ask our keepers what they're saving for, like, well, I'm investing back in my business. I'm like, well, what are you investing in? They're like, my business. I'm like, but you're not spending the money. Like, yeah, I'm just keeping the money there. I'm like, but that's not investing. So it's a mindset around nothing ever feels like enough. I have to keep enough money for whatever that enough might feel like. So that's our keeper. Then our perfectionist. Our perfectionist obsesses over every single dollar. Every dollar coming in, every dollar going out. It is freaking exhausting being our perfectionist. And it's takes a toll, right? Because we can't think big strategy. We're in the weeds, we're in the details.
Mm-hmm.
Then our balance seeker. Our balance seeker is really somewhere in the middle where I can pull back, right? I have a money team. I know I have a team who's handling the bookkeeping and the taxes for me. So I can step in and be the CEO of my business. I know what I need. I know that I have to spend money in order to make money. I have enough in the bank account, but I'm going to have some ebbs and flows in my business, and that's okay.
So it seems like that would be the personality type of the money mindset that would be the most beneficial to a company. But I'm sure everyone starts out with one of these four, even if they're not that fourth one. Is that kind of what you're leading towards? Or are you saying that like it's okay to be any of these, but just know yourself and then hire a team to help you where you're weakest?
So I always tell people, I can't do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exhausting when we're trying to do everything ourselves. And when it's not your zone of genius, right? Like you have to spend so much time and energy in trying to do that activity. And so I always tell people, know what you're good at, know what your zone of genius is, and lean in, like really lean into that and find people who can help you who are the experts in the other areas. When you are starting a business, you're really, as you grow, just buying back your time because you can't do everything. Like literally, physically, actually, you cannot do everything.
Right.
So when you are growing, you have to start buying back chunks of your time. And the best way to buy back chunks of your time is by hiring experts because they're going to come in and they're going to be the expert for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need to be the expert in that area. If you hired an employee or you're trying to do it yourself, you still have to be the expert. And you didn't go to accounting for
Yeah,
5 years,
that's true. Yeah. Yeah. You
or
can't
you
know
didn't go to
everything.
marketing for 5 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's not just bookkeeping. It's bookkeeping, it's social media, it's communications, it's copywriting, right? Like then we're all mad because our business isn't growing as fast as we want it. Well, of course not. You're trying to do everything and you aren't an expert in any of those areas.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So one of your first teams that you hire on should be in the money area of your business, the accounting and all that. And those are services that you do provide that are scalable to each person. So if they're just starting out, it's just them and they've got their first couple of clients, you can still help them. Or if they have several employees later on, you can still help them, right?
Yeah. So when I started this business 9 years ago, I looked around in my industry and there are so many accounting firms out there to help big companies. There's no shortage for big companies to get support. And I will never forget the way my tax accountant made me feel after my first year. I sat in Joe's office on a hot, sticky day in the summer with his ugly paneling and carpet that hadn't been replaced in 20 years. And I watched this man shake his head at me. And I walked out of Joe's office that day and I said, I will make sure that no other woman ever feels that way. Nobody's business is ever too small. My mission has literally been to bring access to the financial information that every business owner needs. So whether you're a solopreneur just starting out or you're 5 years in with a team of five, you still need access to the same financial information because the information you need to hire your first employee is the same information you need to hire your 10th employee. Nothing changes. Nothing. You still have to have the information as a baby business owner. Our mission is to bring that information to you and to help you understand the numbers over time and be that accountability partner for you.
So who are the people that make up that business money team?
I believe that we need 4 people on our money team. It's always going to start with bookkeeping because nobody else can do anything without bookkeeping. Right? So we have to have a bookkeeping team in place first. Once we know that we have accurate numbers, then we can start to work with our tax accountant. Now, most people think this is the other way around. They hire a tax accountant first. Well, your tax accountant isn't helping you throughout the year.
Yeah.
Your tax accountant isn't supposed to give you that business advice. They're not supposed to tell you if you should hire somebody. They don't tell you if you can afford something. They don't do your bookkeeping. They're not a bookkeeper. They're CPA, tax accountant. So our bookkeeping, make sure that we have accurate numbers. Our tax accountant does the tax return and tax planning. Our business coach or CFO then can help us take that information and grow our business. And then we have our financial advisor. Our financial advisor is the person who's kind of taking that business and personal umbrella overview of everything to say, all right, here's how we plan for wealth. Here's how we plan for retirement. But again, they can't do what they're doing unless you have bookkeeping in place. So that personally, right? Like your financial advisor is going to put that glue, that whole big umbrella over the whole.
Okay. And so you are able to provide all of these positions through your services?
Yeah, we don't have a financial advisor in-house, but we have a few partners that we work with. So we do bookkeeping, then we do tax prep and tax planning. And then we have a CFO service for our clients who are ready to start budgeting and looking forward. So I say bookkeeping is looking backwards. So we need to look backwards first, know where we've been. And then when we're ready to start looking forward, budgeting, forecasting, paying down our debt, that's when we need to bring in a CFO or business coach to be able to look to the future.
That's good. Yeah. So that CFO is going to help you with growth. And I think some people starting out in their business, they might not necessarily think that they're going to want to hire anybody else like an employee or like have a team of employees under them. But I think that when you're thinking about growth, it can be like you're saying outsourcing your time to other people. So it could be growing, even if it's not an employee, you're hiring other professionals to come alongside and help you so you can take on more projects if you're a designer or, things like that. So that's kind of what the CFO is going to look at and maybe look at where you should spend your money. So let's talk about a little bit about healthy business spending and what exactly does that mean and how does that help your business?
Yeah, it's so funny. Can't tell you how many times I've gotten on client calls with clients and they're like bracing themselves, like, all right, tell me where I should cut back. And I'm like, cut back? Like, you just told me you weren't hitting your goals. I can tell you why you're not hitting your goals. It's because you're not spending enough money. We have to spend money in order to grow our business. So if we're not hitting our revenue goals, if we're not growing at the speed that we want to be growing, we need to look at where we're spending money. Are we spending enough money in advertising and marketing? Because we want to be spending 8 to 10% of our revenue in advertising and marketing in order to grow our business. You literally can't do everything yourself. So we need to have payroll. So about 30 to 50% of our sales need to go back out to payroll so that we're paying ourselves, paying our team. We need to have operating expenses. We have to operate our business. We need systems and software to be able to run the business, help us be more efficient. But if we're always in cutback mode, like I can't bring on a new software, I can't afford it, or you're not going to grow, right? The person in the business next to you has a really efficient client process. And it's because they're investing in systems, right? So we want to be spending about 8% of our sales back in the business and operating our business. So there's a healthy amount of spending that has to happen in order for us to create healthy, sustainable businesses, right? Like run ourselves in the ground. We can do everything ourselves, but is that really healthy or sustainable?
Right. Yeah. And the point of getting into business is because you're hoping to free up your time or like enjoy your work day much more and like get more satisfaction out of your career. But if you're like bogged down in the weeds, they can't do that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So how can designers pay themselves as business owners? Because I think this is something that might easily go to the wayside. Like you said, the person who wants to keep investing or putting the money back into the business, like, sweat equity and all of that, like, they're just going to roll it back in because I'm not making that much right now and it'll be fine. But eventually they need to pay themselves, but they should probably be doing that from the beginning, right?
Here's what happens with so many of our growing businesses. They'll say, well, I am the business. So I'll just throw my personal expenses through my business checking account. I don't need to pay myself. I'll just, spend out of the business account because I am the business. Well, it doesn't work that way. The IRS says that you are not your business and that you are doing what's called piercing the corporate veil. We have to have our business and personal expenses 100% separate. So if you go to pay for your daughter's birthday party this weekend, that has to come out of your personal checking account. That is not a business expense. We have to get the money from your business checking account to your personal checking account. And we do that through paying ourselves. And too often, when I see entrepreneurs not paying themselves, there becomes this animosity towards their business. And it doesn't happen right away, but over time, it's like, my husband kind of thinks that this is a hobby, expensive hobby, or my friends aren't taking me serious. Well, it's because you're not taking yourself serious because you're not paying yourself. When you start paying yourself, you take yourself serious. So your spouse takes you serious. So your friends take you serious, right? Like there's a trickle down effect to it. As an LLC, the way that we're going to pay ourselves is through owner's draws. And this is so freaking confusing. Like, thank you, government. Because most of us grew up being an employee, right? So we were paid as a W-2 employee. All of a sudden we're an LLC, and all of a sudden we're taxed totally different. So you're not taxed on your owner's draws. You are taxed on the net income of your business. That's why every single business owner, regardless of size, needs to have an income statement because that's what you're paying taxes on. Like it's literally the most fundamental thing about business. So you'll take owner's draws in which you're not going to pay taxes on. So you can take as much cash out of your business as your business can handle. Usually that's about 75% of your profits. You can take up to that in your owner's draws. We need to leave about 25% of profits in the business to pay for taxes. And then you'll pay taxes at the end of the year on net income. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, the IRS throws another loophole in this, in that once you become an S Corp, guess what? They change it all over on you. So once you're taxed as an S Corp, you're now, as a business owner, an employee of your business again. But now you have to pay taxes not only on your salary as a business owner, but you're also going to pay taxes on the net income. Net, as an S Corp, you're generally paying less in taxes, but you have to watch because you have to pay yourself through payroll, a reasonable compensation. And then you also have to pay yourself, you also pay taxes on that net income. Again, just really important to be navigating that throughout the year because you don't want to end up in January, February, like, what? I did not pay myself enough. Draws. I don't have enough cash to pay my taxes. So we send our clients their financial statements every single month. And that's because there should never be any surprises at the end of the year.
Yeah. Because you need to know way ahead of time if you need to, take more money or save more money, depending on how profitable your business is. Yeah. So my business is currently set up like an S Corp as well. So I'm familiar with that. I get a W-2, but then also I have to pay the corporate, profits. So so that sounded very familiar to me, but I think it's good to have that team like you're talking about, because then they can advise you like my tax accountant did on when you should switch over, because most people start right as a sole proprietor most of the time.
Yeah.
Their first year or like the first couple of jobs until they can get a bearings. Do you recommend starting first as an LLC or just to get up and running?
So I'm not an attorney, but it's really more of a legal protection. But I recommend that as soon as you take your first job, as soon as you decide that you're moving forward with this, you become an LLC. Yeah. We want that protection.
Yeah.
And then usually our clients will stay in LLC until you have about $50,000 to $60,000 a year of net income for at least 2 years. Then you can start to look at becoming an S Corp. We want to have 2 or 3 years as an LLC before we become, or even think about becoming an S Corp. And we really want to have that profit because we want to make sure it's tax advantageous to become an S Corp.
Okay. Yeah. That's good to have that knowledge to kind of keep an eye on. If you're just starting out, like within the first couple of years, you're going to probably want to switch over. to an S Corp once you hit that profit goal. So do you think, as we're talking about paying ourselves and money mindset, do you notice a difference with female business owners? Do you primarily work with female business owners or both?
We do primarily work with female business owners. However, I was at an event last week and one of the guys came up to me and said, "What do you have against us? Can't I work with you?" I was like, "Yeah, we can work with you." He's like, "Oh." He's like, "'Cause my books are the same, right?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yes, accounting is the same, whether you're a man or a woman." Here's why, what we have found as women in business, it can be really intimidating to talk about money. I don't know about you, but growing up, my mom always said, you don't talk about religion, money, or politics. So I went into social settings thinking those are the things we don't talk about. So I think we're trained as women to think, I don't talk about money. I'm not good with money. I'm an overspender. And we wanted to create a space for women to be able to come and raise their hand and say, I need help. I don't understand what you're saying. Can you explain that to me again? Can you explain that to me for the 15th month in a row? And we will say, absolutely, with a smile on our face, with no judgment, because we are happy to help our clients. And, I have all women who work for me as well, because we really want to give opportunity to women in a male-dominated field. There's so many men in accounting that we want to create a space for women to be able to have a career and to be able to serve our amazing entrepreneur clients who need love and support, celebrate their wins when they're happening and commiserate on the tax bill when they're happening. And,
Yeah.
I just have that space.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I like that approach. Yeah. And that's how it is with niching your business. Like, just because you might cater towards female clientele, that of course you can take on a male run business if they're interested in working with you. Yeah. Well, that's great. Any other advice for up and coming designers, new business owners might be thinking about starting? I know you have your podcast, so that could be a great resource for people as well.
Yeah. My biggest advice to anybody listening who's just starting out is you can take off the superhero cape, right? Like, you don't need to know how to do everything. You don't need to do everything on your own. Ask for help and do the things that feel really hard. Money is hard. And if it feels hard to you, it's okay. You're not the only one. There's so many people that we work with, especially in the creative industry, that find money really difficult and have money mindset challenges. And so just lean into those hard things, get help where you can. And yes, that's why we created the podcast, Business by the Books, because we realized that although even our clients who sign up to have us do the bookkeeping for them, they're still like, okay, well, what do I do with this now? Right? Like, how do I read it? What do I do with it? And so we created the podcast so that no matter where you're at in your business, you can use that information to understand how to use your numbers to grow and manage your business.
So good. Great. Well, we'll have links for that as well as your website if people are interested in working with you in the show notes. Thank you so much, Danielle, for coming on today and sharing your knowledge and helping us with our money mindset, which we always need to work on, I know.
Thank you for having me.
So I think, as always, any conversation around finances is a great one to have, because a lot of us need so much work understanding our mindset going into it. When we're owning a business, we have to work a lot with money, with our own money, with other people's money. So it's really important to have a bookkeeper, an accounting firm that can really help you go to the next level. So we have all of Danielle's contact information in the show notes if you'd like to get in touch with her and get you to the next level in your business financially. Don't forget to check out those great downloads I have for you. There's a quiz. There's information about My Design Mentor, which is my mentoring platform. You can join and get some more one-on-one with me. So find all that there in the show notes, and I'd love to hear from you if you want to leave me a DM, a question, anything you'd like to hear on the podcast. I want to know what my listeners are looking for more of, so I'd love to hear from you. And that's it for this week. Stay tuned for another great episode next week, and until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.